Hey everyone! So I have been coding since 8 years now. For context, I'm Sofia. I work currently as a software engineer at Amazon. Previously, I worked briefly in fintech and I studied computer science in university. Looking back at my journey, there's a mix of things that I got right from the start and other things I wish I had done differently. This video is the ultimate guide I wished I had when I first started learning how to code. So, this video contains a step-by-step approach, some useful resources, some good examples for projects to grow your skills, the correct mindset that you need for programming, all you need to prepare for interviews, but also all the skills that you need to develop other than programming when you work as a software engineer. Step 1, understanding the basics. Typically, you are presented with a problem where you need to find a result given a set of input. Your role as a programmer is to determine the set of instructions that the machine needs to execute in order to fulfill that goal. Coding is the act of writing these instructions following a set of syntax rules. Each programming language has its own set of rules, but they all share the same fundamental concepts, and they are variables, data types, loops, if statements, and functions. So as a first step, you need to understand and be familiar with these concepts first. And here I recommend to choose one programming language and focus on it only. There are many languages that you might have heard of, like JavaScript or TypeScript, C, Java, and Python. The most recommended language for starting to program is Python because it's simple and it's not as verbose as other languages, like for example Java. So now that you have chosen your favorite programming language, the next step is to start solving coding problems. And two platforms that I can recommend are Code Academy and Free Code Camp. Now that you feel confident solving coding problems, the next step would be to learn about object-oriented programming and some of its concepts like classes. While using platforms as Code Academy are great for starting, it's also good to learn how to write and run programs on your laptop. At this stage, you have the basic skills to start writing some simple programs. And some examples of good projects to start with are a calculator or a tic-tac-toe game, for example. Now that you have the fundamental skills, a good topic to learn more about is algorithms and data structures. There are many resources online, Coursera, for example, Udemy, or YouTube, simply. I personally followed a course in Coursera that I will link below that have been really great. The goal here is really not to learn everything, and you shouldn't do it. I would suggest to start with arrays and hash maps, which are basically the most used data structures out there. And the goal here really is just to help you learn tools to solve bigger coding challenges. And now comes the fun part, learning about architecture or system design. The simplest basic architecture is having a client, a server, and a database. Think about a website, for example, that gives the ability to customers or users to create documents and save them. And they would be able to create their accounts and then save these documents on their account. The client in this context refers to the customer-facing application, providing the interface through which users can create an account, log in, and manage their notes. The database serves as the storage unit for saving these documents. Lastly, the server is the component of the system responsible for receiving, read, and write requests from the client and ultimately accessing the database to fulfill these requests. There are three words that are very popular in describing software engineer jobs: Frontend, Backend, and Fullstack. A front-end engineer specializes in the customer-facing part of a service. For example, they would be the ones implementing designs for websites. They would be expert in using JavaScript or TypeScript, CSS and HTML, for example. Backend engineers are usually the ones that are responsible on the part of the service that handles requests, but also databases. And languages that get to be applied here are, for example, Java and Python. And full stack developers are the ones that can do both, plus mobile development, which is basically developing applications in iOS or Android. Another interesting concept to learn at this stage is APIs, and it's basically how services talk to each other. Architecture and system design is basically where the whole difficulty resides when you are working as a software engineer. A great book that I recommend is Designing Data-Intensive Application by Martin Kleppmann. This is really the book that you need to read for getting to know more about how to design systems, what are the different components, what are the type of databases that exist, etc., etc. So yeah, really read this book, you won't regret it. So now that you have an idea about how software or web applications are designed and implemented, you might be wanting to start your own personal project. Here you would be looking at learning frameworks. The most popular ones that are out there are React and Angular for front-end applications. You have also Django and Spring for backend. And for mobile development, there is React Native, which is a good place to start with. And before you start implementing more complicated projects, there are two tools that you must learn about. The first one would be a version control tool, which will help you to track and manage your source code. The most popular one is Git, and also by extension you need to learn about GitHub. The second tool would be an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment. It's basically a software application that would help you develop your code more efficiently. Two popular ones are VS Code and IntelliJ. Hackathons are actually a great opportunity for you to start your own project. There are different events all over the world, both in person and also online. So I would definitely recommend you to check the website of Major League Hack to find an event that would be appropriate for you. This would help you also connect with others and also learn from others, which is really important in this field. If I can give you some examples of personal projects, there would be first creating your own personal website. That's a great way to practice your skills, but also you would end up with something that you can show to others. Another one would be to create a to-do list app, or for example a weather app connecting to a public API. So hopefully by this stage you have all the necessary knowledge and tools to grow and progress as a programmer. The next thing we will be talking about is the correct mindset that you need to have as a programmer. First, be humble and open to learning and receiving feedback. Since there's a lot of things to learn, and receiving feedback is one of the things that can help you develop your skills and also learn from your mistakes. Never copy code unless you know what it does exactly. Train yourself to think about the solution first before searching for it. This would help you develop your problem-solving skills, which are really, really important in your career later. And finally, enjoy the process. Programming takes a lot of time and dedication, so it's better to find joy and fulfillment in the adventure itself. So now that you have a solid experience in programming, that you built a portfolio with a few interesting and exciting projects that you also added into your resume, you would perhaps start interviewing for either an internship or a first job. And here there are two types of companies in terms of their interviewing approach: the tech language agnostic approach and the tech language specific approach. Language agnostic companies are open to hire developers proficient in various programming languages. That's why in their interviews, usually you get to choose the language that you would like to code in. The notorious companies following this approach are FANG. Preparing for their interviews require mastering two topics: algorithms and data structures, and system design. For algorithms and data structures, I really recommend cracking the coding interview. This is personally the only book that I really studied algorithms and data structures in. I think it's just mastering the exercises here would help you prepare for these type of interviews. For system design, I will also recommend again Designing Data-Intensive Applications. I think this is the perfect book that would help you prepare for these interviews. If you don't have a lot of time, there is also System Design Interview, which is also really good. Other companies that are not language agnostic look for specific skill. Developers that are proficient in a certain language or a certain framework. And here basically you need to be proficient in those skills and be able to answer any type of questions you can get. And finally, I wanted to talk to you about some specific skills that you develop only when you are working as a software engineer in a company. In companies is usually where you practically see complex architectures, you get to work on them. So one of the skills that you need to develop is learning how to understand these systems and how to navigate through the intricacies of each one of them. A second set of processes that you will get to learn more about is continuous development and continuous integration. All companies strive to get more code done and released as efficiently as possible. So these two concepts are very important to understand. Another thing is monitoring and performance. And here you will learn how to track the metrics that are important for your services and also how to efficiently monitor their traffic. And finally, writing documentation. So as a software developer working on many different services or like different parts of a service, you need to be able to write a clear, concise documentation for you, but also for others. And this is it. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and you find it useful. It would help me if you could hit the like button and also subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, thanks again for watching and I'll see you in next video. Bye!